People ignore the fact that the breeders are taking gambles. You have to take care of your breeders. That's the backbone of this industry. I need to provide for the breeder the best investment program I can. Share the upside. I've had a lot of people tell me they were glad they did it. You have people here, they have a farm and they need to sell their foals and they need to have a chance of making money. I'm proud of what's happened here. I think that we're just in the beginning stages. I'm excited really about the future.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo, and we'll kick off Wednesday's Late Pick 5 with the Turf Dash. It's race number 6, and we'll take a look at the field. 5.5 furlongs on the turf for 2-year-olds. A full field of Spa Babies, and Spendthrift is represented by the main track only runner. The number 11 Hemlock is by their star stallion, Into Mischief. Nicole, a really intriguing race. We'll get to him in post-position order, but I think the story of the race is the 7, Alfie Solomons, the full brother to World of Trouble.
Yeah, and World of Trouble has really emerged as one of this year's standout horses. So versatile, now a Grade 1 winner on both the dirt and turf. A phenomenally fast horse, earned one of the higher Buyers speed figures of 2018 with his narrow second to champion Stormy Liberal in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And the full brother going out for Wesley Ward, who we always talk about him in these 2-year-old videos.
But he is not the only one with a talented pedigree and great connections. This is a really strong race, and we'll start with the number 1, the experienced Another Miracle. And we'll take a look at his career debut at Belmont. This race on the 4th of July on the main track. He showed very good speed for trainer Gary Contessa that day. He finishes a solid second, big Buyer speed figure of 76. If he runs that Buyer, the dirt Buyer on turf, it would exceed the Buyer par for this race. He is by Triple Crown winner and Breeders' Cup Classic winner American Pharoah. And the American Pharaohs thus far have done very, very well on the turf, so I'm bullish on this surface switch.
Yeah, definitely. Moving from dirt to turf for Gary Contessa, whose runners usually improve with a start under their belts. American Pharoah off to a great start on turf, particularly in Europe. He's got a Group 3 winner in France, a Group 2 place runner in Ireland, a couple of 2-turn turf winners in the United States here. They're really, really good early on the turf, and plenty of turf and synthetic in this female family as well.
You're absolutely right, and this horse also has speed. If he does break from the inside, expect him to be prominently placed when the field turns into the stretch. The number 2 is More Like It. This is a gelded son of More Than Ready. It's been through the auction ring 3 times, most recently selling for $65,000 after breezing a furlong in 10-2. There is turf in this pedigree, however.
Yeah, definitely. Sire More Than Ready. Not only a solid turf sire, but a solid 2-year-old turf sire with runners like Pluck, More Than Real, Rushing Fall on his resume over a mizzen masked mare. Those obviously love the turf. I might like to see this one running a slightly longer, somewhere in the 7 furlong to a mile range, though.
That's what I thought, Nicole. I thought maybe a little bit more distance would work for More Like It. You're going to want to check out Mike Welsh and his team with the DRF Clocker Report for Saratoga. Check out the workouts, see how these horses have been doing. It appears 3 works back on June 30th. More Like It breezed in company with a Bruce Brown trainee named Rheingold, who earned a 36 Buyer speed figure in his career debut on the turf. The number 3 is one of 2 in here for trainer Graham Motion. I believe this one might be better suited for the turf. Irish Miyas has a long string of workouts, is a half to a stakes winning turf sprinter named Regally Irish, and this is the family of Irish Warcry and Irish Straight. Lots of class, lots of turf, and again, a good foundation for the debut.
Oh, definitely. And the sire Sky Mesa, a solid 2-year-old and multi-surface sire, a terrific female family developed by this breeding operation. As you mentioned, a lot of turf ability in the family with runners like Regally Irish and Irish Straight close up. But both this breeder who breeds to race and trainer Graham Motion play the long game. I'm wondering if Motion starters in here, particularly this one who's a homebred, might need a start or two if they might be looking down the road with these horses.
The number 4 is Get Set. And we usually don't think of progeny of Awesome, of course, to be proficient on turf, only 8% with first turf winners. But there is a lot of grass on the bottom of this pedigree. The Dam, a 4-time turf winner and a half sister to a stakes winning turf router. Plus, this horse has experience. I thought that was an underrated race at Parks on June the 25th. We saw that runner up, Mr. Thrifty, come back and run a pretty good 4th at Saratoga on the dirt. And the 3rd place finisher from that race came back to win. So maybe this one has some price potential.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the race at Parks. Mr. Thrifty wound up in that maiden here at Saratoga that we talked about over the weekend on Spa Babies that I think will wind up being a decent race. Awesome, of course, we really don't talk about as a turf sire, but he is very good with his 2-year-olds. And a really interesting note about Get Set. His Dam, Enthusiastic Gal, actually returned to training after delivering this, her first foal, and runs later in Wednesday's card in the 9th race. Our colleague David Grunning with a terrific story about that in the paper this weekend on drf.com.
That really is remarkable. So we'll be rooting for both Enthusiastic Gal and Get Set on Wednesday. It would be something if both of them win. The 5 is Blackberry Wine. This is a son of Oxbow, trained by Joe Sharp. And I look at this pedigree and I kind of think distance. Oxbow has not done very well with 2-year-olds, not done very well first-time turf. The Dam's been productive, and she's a foal to champion juvenile filly Tempera, and there's a little bit of turf on the bottom, but I may wait for a little bit more distance for this Calumet homebred.
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way. I'd prefer to see this one with a bit more ground. I'd actually prefer to see this one on dirt. I will make a note that as we're filming this, there was continued wet weather in Saratoga on Tuesday morning, and perhaps this is one to keep in mind if they move some of the undercard races on Wednesday from the turf to the dirt to preserve the course.
I also think a horse that would appreciate a switch to the dirt is Next Door. That's the number 6, Close Shave. It's a very classy pedigree. It also seems very dirt-oriented. Now, we know Uncle Mo, the stallion, can do just about anything. 14% first turf, an excellent 17% with 2-year-old first-time starters. This Dam was a multiple stakes winner on dirt, however, and has foaled 5 prior turf runners. None of them have won. It's a bit curious that Graham has entered this one on dirt. I really like this horse's pedigree, but I think it is more dirt-oriented.
I agree with you as well, although, as you said, the Uncle Mo's really run on anything. Again, Graham Motion takes his time with his horses. I'm wondering if he was looking at this as a spot just to sort of get this horse's feet wet.
And now the big name in this race, and the morning line favorite, the second choice, the number 7, Alfie Solomons. This is the full brother to World of Trouble, multiple Grade 1 winner, a Grade 1 winner on dirt, a Grade 1 winner on turf, an excellent turf sprinter in his own right. But the Dam's also a half to an excellent turf sprinter. Don't forget about old Buchero, who was a really nice horse back in the day. Alfie Solomons goes out for Wesley Ward. We've got a formulator fact over the past 2 years. Juvenile debut runners in maiden special weight turf sprints at Saratoga, well, only 33% for Wesley, and a 328 ROI. This horse is going to get well bet because of the pedigree. I'm not sure I want to take such a short price, though, on an unproven commodity.
Yeah, it is really hard. When you look at these horses, you're kind of picking them apart. To take a short price in these races, sometimes you can't look past a horse. But, we do try to look for a little bit of value. I would advise people, as we always say, to watch the board. You mentioned Buchero being in this immediate family. Not only is the Dam a half to him, but Alfie Solomons and World of Trouble bred on the same cross by Cantheros as Buchero was. And again, World of Trouble, Grade 1 winner on dirt and turf, so versatile. So again, this is a horse where if we do have a surface switch, I think don't worry about this one.
The number 8 now is co-owned by former Daily Race Form publisher Stephen Crist, is one of the more experienced horses in the race, the most experienced by far. 3 starts, showed improved speed last time out on July the 6th at Belmont, and I wonder if he would prefer sitting from off the pace and coming with 1 run, as he did in his career debut when he finished 3rd. This horse certainly has a turf pedigree.
Well, and you make a good point about the race setup, and he might have a little bit to run at if the American Pharoah starter comes out well from the rail, if Alfie Solomons shows some speed as his family does. This horse comes in with a lot of experience. His best efforts have come on the turf. I think you can draw a line through the Tremont. So good luck to Stephen Crist and partners.
How about this for an under-the-radar horse, maybe to crack the board at a price? The number 9, Shackleford Joy, was a $145,000 buyback in April after breezing a furlong in 10-3. The Shacklefords do okay first time out, 14%. And this dam's a foal to Charming Kitten, a graded stakes winning turf router. I wonder if it might be a little bit more effective, this colt, at more distance, but certainly has the pedigree for turf.
Well, that was my first thought too, was that I would prefer this one going longer. You mentioned Charming Kitten, who was a very nice turf router in the immediate family. Also the family of Queen's Plate Kitten, who is a synthetic stakes winner going a bit longer. I'd prefer Shackleford Joy with a bit more ground.
And Wayne Lucas does take his time. We say it on this video. It's one of the greatest of all time. Here's a formulator fact. Past 5 years, 2-year-old first-time starters on turf, 0 for 21. We'll move on to the 10, Chimney Rock. And I like the fact that Chimney Rock has experience. I like the fact that he showed speed in his career debut, and that was the faster division of 2 off-the-turf maiden specials at Belmont on June the 21st. He is by Breeders' Cup Mile winner Artie Schiller. The dam, a stakes place dirt sprinter, has foaled 1 turf winner. I kind of like this pedigree for turf sprints.
Yeah, I do as well, quite a bit. Artie Schiller, you mentioned winning the Breeders' Cup Mile. He turned out to be a decent juvenile sire in his own right with horses like My Conquistador and We Miss Artie. There was turf intent with Chimney Rock first time in that off-the-turf maiden, and I do expect him to move up on turf for trainer Mike Maker.
And Mike Maker really is sensational with anything he puts on the track, and he sent out some really live horses thus far at the Saratoga meet. The 1A proven strategies, the 11 Hemlock are also eligibles, with Hemlock entered main track only by Spendthrift Stallion Into Mischief. It is a really fun race to kick off the late pick 5. And while a lot of folks are going to lean towards Alfie Solomons, to me, I'm going to spread and try to beat him. But who do you like?
I will try to beat Alfie Solomons as well. Really strong pedigree, obviously. I do think if the race moves from turf to dirt, it might stand him in good stead. As I mentioned, it's a versatile pedigree. If the race remains on the turf, though, I will take a look at another miracle down inside. Again, American Pharoah off to a great start with his turf runners. This one moving from dirt to turf for Gary Contessa should take a step forward next time out. And again, if the race remains on turf, Chimney Rock, there was turf intent first time. I do expect him to move up on turf for Mike Maker. Again, if the race comes off the turf, I think Alfie Solomons will move up a little. And if the race does come off the turf, I will look at that main track only Hemlock by Spendthrift's leading juvenile sire Into Mischief, a Godolphin homebred with a strong work tab. I would have to think that one is well meant.
Well, I agree with you about another miracle. I think if this race stays on the turf or even on the dirt, he is a must-use in this pick 5. I'm going to use him. I'm going to use the 2 motion horses. Irish Miyas might need a little bit of a time, as you mentioned, with the motion horses, but I really love this horse's turf pedigree on the bottom. Close shave, maybe more dirt-oriented. Interesting he's here, though, with John Velasquez. And I also think the horse with the experience might be able to come with a late run, especially if Chimney Rock prompts another miracle in the early portion of this race, and Alfie Solomons shows speed as expected. So I'm going 6, 1, 8, and 3, and we'll probably use a combination of all 4 in some form in my ticket maker late pick 5 at Saratoga. It is race number 6. It is your Wednesday Spa Baby race presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.